Hi, this is Christina Myers, host of The Stina Life. In this episode, we're going to explore the energetics behind emotions and how our emotions are the root cause of most of the imbalances that we experience and how they can be related to physical illness. I'll also be talking about the next big astrological event coming up, which is Uranus and Jupiter coming together in the sign of Taurus on April 30th, and what this is going to mean to you individually, as well as what we could be seeing externally in the collective. Let's get into it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's podcast. I hope you are doing well and are surviving the energies of this post-eclipse. I don't know about you, but the lead up to the eclipse and now the post-eclipse period has been a time of very deep transformation and introspection. There have been a lot of things coming to the surface to be looked at. That I thought, this all has been addressed before, and I thought that has been healed. But it's been interesting because it has not actually been fully taken care of. And so I have definitely been in the depths of a deep, deep, deep healing process. And a lot of why I have been a little bit offline and not so engaged is because I'm doing my own work. And there are times where that is very, very necessary, that we have to stop and pause and take a break from life and take a break from kind of all the day-to-day stuff that we do and really focus on ourselves. And what's been interesting is that it has felt like Source has been taking a sieve or a fine-tooth comb and is going through my entire energy field and is slowly and very diligently dragging every tiny particle of emotions, of stories, of anything that needs to be pulled out at this time. And just pulling all of those small residual pieces and laying those all out in front of me on a table for us to really look at and examine and explore and work through the emotions that are tied to it, and then bless it and then release it. And there have been so many breakdowns that have led to extremely significant breakthroughs in this process. And it has felt to me that this deep purge, and literally it's been a very deep purge process, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, has been critical to go through this process to be able to move into this next phase. And going through these breakdowns to get through the breakthroughs is allowing us at this time to raise our consciousness to such a level that we're being able to move through our very human experience and be in that humanness. Part of being a human being is embodying all of this and going through these experiences that cause pain and cause grief and cause joy and cause transformation. Going through all of these pieces, but then looking at how do we transmute those memories, those emotions, and how do we move into a higher perspective so that we can really see how these experiences have allowed us to grow and expand and evolve. And we don't usually take that much time when we're going through these experiences to really reflect on that and reflect on the growth, the immense amount of growth that we are all going through at this time. So I encourage you, as you are going through your own process, to really congratulate yourself and reflect back on how much evolvement, how much movement, how much awareness that you are bringing in as you are going through your own personal journey and recognizing your own patterns and understanding that you are shifting, you are making conscious choices to address, to change the behavior, and to move in a new direction moving forward. If we can't get perspective on a situation in our lives, it makes it much more challenging to be able to heal and to move forward. And we can get into this mode. My aunt loves to call it the pity party. I'm having my own pity party, and I love that because we get into the poor me, I'm a victim mentality, and we're in our little pity party. And that's all necessary. It's very valid and it's necessary because when it comes to your emotions, this is real and your experiences are real and they need to be validated. They need to be seen and they need to be validated. And in many cases, what we do is we stuff it down, whether we were just told to move on or don't cry or whatever experience we had. We've got to feel these things. We've got to see them. We've got to hear them. We got to feel seen and heard to ourselves and to other people. Sometimes we got to feel validated as well. But mostly what we've got to do is examine. And, you can look at this from the perspective of, oh, this is for my higher self. And that's good if you can get to that level of being able to look at things, that this is about a place of involvement. But you can't really get to that space until you're able to really feel the emotions. And that can take weeks, that can take months, that can take years to do this. And it can't always be solved through spiritual hope. It may require deep therapy. It may require energy work. It may require other techniques to clear it. And most importantly, it must be very clear to you in your consciousness. It must be very clear in your mind. And the root cause of wherever this is coming from has to be identified. Because without the identification of where it's stemming from, we can't really get to the root of it and be able to clear it from there. And so emotions are one of the trickiest components that I have seen within my clients over the years, that it's the emotion that actually keeps us bound and tied to a situation and not be able to fully move forward within our lives, because the emotion is the thing that is holding us back. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a personal story to help kind of clarify how this can actually come about. So I've been doing clearing work for years now, and big bunch of ancestral clearing, getting that all cleared out. I've looked at my own stuff. I've looked at past life things. And I mean, this has been going on for years, many, many years, where I have been working and shifting and working and shifting and working and shifting. But emotions are very tricky, and the energy field is very tricky because those emotions can really be hidden. And they can resurface at different times too. When you think you've cleared an emotion, then you have another situation come up, another incident come up that then re-triggers some of those emotions. And it's an invitation to really say, have you really dealt with this stuff, or have you not dealt with this stuff? Have you gotten to the root of it? And as I said, it's layered. It's like an onion. You're peeling back a layer of an onion, and then you've got another layer and another layer, another layer. And that's how the energy field works. And things will come up at certain times of your journey where they will present themselves again. And so it will trigger you into saying, have I really done this? Have I really cleared it? So recently, I've been going through some health issues, which is something that I don't normally have to deal with. But this was very unexpected. And I had gone out of town recently. I wanted to go away by myself on a trip and just have some time to myself for some deep, reflection and some relaxation and rejuvenation. And it was my birthday, actually. So I took myself away for my birthday. And with any trip, I do all of these energetic preparations for any trip I go. I send Reiki before I go. I envision the whole trip and everything's going smooth. I get my seat placement early. I ask guides and angels to come in for protection around, especially if I'm flying around the plane, all of it. And ever since I've been doing this, I've never had a big delay. I've never had travel issues. Everything, usually every trip I go on is just really pretty smooth. It's just nothing. But the minute I arrived at the airport to go to town, it felt off from the start. It felt really, really off. I had strange events happening the whole time. I had delays both going and coming back. I had very strange incidents on the plane ride. I had some very interesting people on my plane. Literally, I had the guys from Dumb and Dumber. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but it's a really funny movie. But they were sitting in front of me and they were so loud and obnoxious the whole trip. And I was trying to read a book the whole time and I was getting more and more annoyed with these people. And then I had a really weird thing happen where I had a family sitting across from me. It was a mother and her adult son who had, he obviously had some developmental challenges, and he had a blanket with him, and so he was sleeping on his mother. And all of a sudden, I'm on the aisle and I feel something on me and his blanket is on me. And I couldn't tell if it was his arms or what was going on, but he had stretched himself across the aisle and was touching me. And I thought, okay, I'm just not going to say anything about this because, I was just trying to be kind. And this woman came down the aisle to go to the bathroom and she looked at me and I'm like, nope, this isn't me. Go talk to this lady over here. And then I realized when she woke him up that he had had his bare feet on my arm. So, anyway, that was interesting. And then I got to my destination and I ran down to the bathroom really quick, and there was literally a turd sitting outside of the stall. So that was just the trip in. That was the trip in. And then I get to the place I'm going to be at, and the sweetest staff members were there to greet me, but they couldn't speak. They kept stumbling over their words. They couldn't get their words out. And this happened like 3 or 4 times with 3 or 4 different people. It wasn't just the one. So the trip was just off the whole time. The energy at my destination was weird. And I had a friend, ask me where I was going, and I told her, and she said, "Oh, you might want to spend a lot of time outdoors." So I did. I spent as much time as I could outdoors. Anyway, had basically not quite that extreme coming back, but definitely again delays coming back, weird situations on the plane again. It just, the whole trip was just odd and off. So I get home and 2 days later I am trying to record a podcast actually, and it's a Friday afternoon and I just cannot keep my eyes open, and I lay down and I sleep. I'm sleeping like a deep, deep sleep for like 3 or 4 hours. I thought it was an energetic upgrade that was happening at first. I thought, okay, we've got energy coming in. So it started on a Friday. Saturday, extremely tired, can't hardly eat anything. By Sunday, I am so sick. I'm purging, 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 purging. And I'm purging so much that a day later, I call the kind of urgent care place. And mind you, I can't leave the house. Like, there's no way I can leave the house because I'm purging so much. And I call the care center, and they said, we have to have you come in. We have to run a bunch of tests to figure out what's going on. Well, by that night, I was in the ER, and I was in the ER for 18 hours. And the doctor came in. They'd run all these tests on me, done CT scans, everything. And she said, I'm admitting you to the hospital. You have salmonella poisoning. I have never been so sick in my life. Never have I been so sick in my life. And it was just this deep, deep purging. And I kept getting this message, like this was very much needed. I am very, very susceptible in my stomach area, lots of attachments. You can get attachments to other people in your stomach area. And this is a very energetically vulnerable spot for many of us. But this is my spot for sure. And so I get home and I receive a message from my guides that this actually started as an energetic attack. But I was able to quickly transmute it and be able to make sure that I was really working with the energy from the highest level. Well, a week and a half goes by and I'm still not feeling great, can't really eat a lot, and I get really sick again. And I end up back in the ER, back there. And I kept telling the doctor, like, I don't think this is done. I think that this is still happening. And I had seen a GI specialist in the meantime, told them the same thing. I think that the salmonella poisoning isn't completely out of my system. And this time I went in, they did another CT scan, and they're like, you have inflamed organs in your stomach. And I started reading about some of this. So salmonella poisoning can lead to inflammation of other organs within the stomach and the body. So anyway, this has been an ordeal, and this has been, one of these things that, as an energetics practitioner, I know that when it hit the organs, there was something else there, that there was a deeper meaning behind what was going on, including stored emotions. So the long and the short of all of this is that it all came back to unresolved emotions that I had not fully addressed. And most of these were stemming from, some were stemming from past life stuff. Some were stemming from events that had happened pretty recently in my life. And then there was a lot of childhood stuff that was coming up. And a lot of these underlying feelings were repeated patterns of things that had been carrying through from lifetimes or from early in this life. And while I had identified these and I had addressed them before, and I had changed behavior and reaction to things, what has come to the surface is that the root issue of this stuff, I have very much intellectually and consciously addressed them, but it's the emotional grief of it that has not fully come out until now. And it was allowing myself the space and the time to sit by myself, be completely alone, and really start to cry this out, get the anger out, go through the process and all the stages of grief that I needed to go through. And it wasn't until I was stopped in my tracks, meaning I had no other choice but to be in bed, resting, taking full care of myself, doing all the things I needed to do, that allowed me the time to actually sit with us. And the reason I'm telling you all of this background and getting a little more personal is to hopefully help you on your journey, and to realize that this process, this healing process that we all go through, that we're all being asked to really go through right now and look at in a deeper way, it's not fix it and move on situation all the time, that this can take years of time to go through. And I am fully expecting that there's going to be more things that will come up, because as I move through my life, there will be other situations that will be presented as tests, and to say, have you fully moved on from this? And the trick in all of this, and I think the evolving piece in all of this, is, are we able to recognize it fast and quickly? Is that able to come up to the surface? And are we able to transmute it? And have we really healed? And the trick in all of this, I think, and the key to the healing is, are we consciously aware, and have we changed the way that we're reacting to things? Are we reacting now from a place of empathy and compassion for ourselves, compassion for maybe the other people, and love for the other person? A lot of this inflammation was about irritation for me. It was about being irritated and feeling angry about things that have gone on, that I have allowed myself to continue to accommodate. And thank goodness for things like the body code, and the emotion code. The emotion code is one of probably the best resources you can get. If you don't have that book, it is a game changer. I use it all the time for myself, and as a practitioner, I use it because, man, does it help. And finding somebody who you can work with. I have a wonderful person that I can work with for both the body code and the emotion code pieces, and having a different perspective come in, because there's emotions that was not coming to my conscious awareness that was able to be found through another person. Another practitioner was able to identify ones, and that has been so helpful for me to be able to have another perspective come in, and to be able to tap into my energy field and identify for me things that needed to be cleared. I also have a device called a Healy, which I love because it runs Hertz frequency. But the other thing it does is a chakra analysis. So I've been running this every day, and then running the programs, and then of course doing the things that I need to do to help the chakras. And I love that analysis because it comes up and it tells you what's the root cause of like what the imbalance is. And so it's been helping me identify on a subconscious level what are the things that I'm still holding on to. And then I think the biggest thing is about discernment and boundaries, and being very, very careful of not repeating patterns, of calling in people who allowed me to continue to have the same behaviors as I was accustomed to and conditioned to do. And that was trying to help everybody, and trying to save everybody, and trying to put everyone else's needs before my own, and their feelings before my own, or absorbing other people's emotions and feelings and resentments and all of it, and holding on to it for them. So this is a learning process. We all are going through it. We all are going through all these different things to help us evolve as people. And no one is perfect. It doesn't matter if you've done this stuff for years, if you're a practitioner or anything. We all have to go through these lessons, because we're finding our freedom, and we're taking back our power. And it's becoming more apparent now than ever, because the energies around us are pushing us at such a level that we can't ignore this stuff anymore. And I had done an Instagram post about this, but I'm going to reemphasize this here. So this is the time that self-care is absolutely critical, absolutely imperative. You've got to put yourself first. No excuses. Extra self-care is 100% needed right now. And the other thing to just always keep in mind is that you're responsible for you. You're responsible for your healing. You're responsible for your reactions to things. and no, just go with the attitude that the other person's not going to change, but my reaction to them can change. The way that I react to things can change. And then the daily work. I mean, we have to do the daily work, and, checking in with myself every day, checking in, where are my chakras today? Has any emotions come up that need to be released today? And then taking the time and allowing myself to grieve, and allowing yourself to go through the emotions, and the process of really feeling that is important. And then talking it out. I talk to myself all the time because I have to verbally talk through this stuff, and thank God for this podcast. And thank you for listening to me, babble on about stuff. But it's a really cathartic process for me personally, is to be able to talk it out. And thank goodness. And I'm so appreciative of my close friends and family who have been so supportive and loving and kind. And you know who you are. So thank you, of allowing me to have those conversations with them and to be reflectors back to me, and guides to me. It's been so imperative. And then I think the last thing is really recognizing the patterns. And when those tests are presented, can we change the behavior? Can we change our reaction to it? And when we recognize the patterns, then we can make a conscious effort to change. Refinement is really the name of the game right now. And we are truly going through this time of very careful excavation, looking deep into the landscape of our psyche and carefully excavating. Treat yourself like an ancient site, where they have these beautiful excavations. I don't know if you've ever seen this. When I was in Greece and in Athens, I was walking through the streets of Athens, and they were doing excavations all the time, because the city was built on top of the current city was built on top of the old city, the ancient city. And so think about when archaeologists take those fine brushes and they start to kind of just sweep away the dust particles, around these beautiful treasures. Think of yourself as that beautiful treasure, and that you're just taking that brush and you're just sweeping the debris away. And think about that covering your heart. Think about that debris just all around your heart, and that you're starting to just gently sweep away the debris so that your heart can fully shine through, and that your heart has the wisdom, the knowledge, the truth, and it will illuminate your path going forward. So all that's to say, if you're going through a similar process right now, you're not alone. You're being supported so deeply by the universe. We have our guides coming in at a greater rate right now. Love frequency is pouring into this planet and surrounding you. And you're not alone. You are not alone on this path and this journey. And you are so loved. We are shifting so rapidly right now, especially post eclipse. And as a reminder, this eclipse energy, because it was so intense, it's probably going to stay with us for the rest of this year. But what was interesting is this last week, we've had 3 massive timeline splits showing up on the Schumann resonance. And I have been feeling these splits. You can just feel these jumps happening, and the environment feels different. I have been outside. It's almost like Technicolor when I'm out in nature, just the vibrancy of the sky. There's not been a cloud in the sky. It's been perfectly sunny, no cloud in the sky at all for days. And the vibrancy of the flowers, the trees, has been so beautiful. So beautiful. But with these timeline splits, we've also been getting major energy blasts. And we are also starting to see a ramp up of external events going on. So just be aware that these external events, this information, and these shakeups that are happening are very much needed because they are catalysts for more people having their own awakening. It is really an activation point for many more people to start to turn inward and look at themselves and figure out their own path and also take their power back. And this Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20-year cycle is helping us to really radically shift and helping us expose what's really going on so that we can make conscious decisions about what we're going to tolerate moving forward and what we're not going to tolerate moving forward. And as we are approaching April 20th, we have another significant astrological event that is extremely important. And this is the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Taurus. Now, the last time that this happened, where Uranus and Jupiter came together in Taurus, was in May of 1941. And if you know anything about history, you will know what was going on in 1941. So let me talk about this a little bit. So Taurus is all about the physical. So Aries is about the body, but it's more about the mind, where Taurus is the embodiment of everything. It embodies it. It's the physical embodiment of it. And this is our physical structure. This is everything related to the third dimensional physical structures, especially the earth, especially a Mother Earth. It is the full embodiment of it. Taurus loves to have beautiful things around. It loves to feel good. It loves great feeling things on its body. Loves it. But it's also about our resources. And it's about money, and it's about food, and it's about all of the resources that we need. It really rules our possessions. And Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is all about how we give and receive love, our personal value system, our own self-worth. Okay, so those are the big themes around Taurus. Then we have Uranus. Uranus is the great disruptor. It is here to shake things up. It's very fast-moving, unexpected energy. It's also going to look at things that are not working and make a radical shift. And then we have Jupiter. This is where we expand, explore, where we receive abundance, where things can go a little over the top and to great extremes, because wherever Jupiter is, it expands, right? It magnifies whatever it's in. And so this magnification can get a little out of control. And you put that energy with Uranus, which is very unexpected, and it can shake things up and radically shift things. You put those two things together and you put them in the sign of Taurus, you've got some interesting things happening. So we've got a big shakeup of earthquakes happening. There was one in Taiwan. There was one on the East Coast of the United States. Of course, there's others that are going off all the time. There's earthquakes all the time, but then we have these significant earthquakes. And I know there was people talking about, with this great eclipse, is that going to start to activate a potential earthquake in some place like the New Madrid fault lines that run around the Mississippi River in the United States. It's basically the split of the United States, right in the center of the United States. These things are all possible. So when we have an energy like Uranus in the sign of Taurus, which is about the physical plane, earthquakes can be very, very likely. And April's forecast energetically was a lot around earthquakes. But we also have things like the financial systems. And because Taurus rules our possessions, it rules money, how we give and take with money, how we receive money. Those financial systems can be a focus here. And then conflict. Conflict and unexpected events can occur. And we are seeing that play out. So as we're leading up to this, we're already in this energy. So we're already there. It's already coming together. It doesn't have to happen on the day on April 20th. It is a lead up, and then there's a tail to all of these energies. And we're seeing that pop up. So over the weekend, we've had another big conflict. Iran and Israel are now in a conflict, bringing a lot of unexpected energies into the Middle East. And so this is the type of things that we can really expect. We can expect some things that can shake our world big time. And then, the other like positive side of this is that this can bring these shakeups to bring a new path forward to you personally as it relates to taking care of yourself, how you're making money, your value system, all of those things, your resources. This can be a big shift coming here. And I feel that this energy, along with the eclipse energy, has been such a game changer for us. And part of my own journey that I shared and my own experiences that I shared today was a lot around this particular energy. This energy has been ramping up for some time. We always have a big lead up to it that starts to show up, and then we'll have a tail of it. And I know my personal healing pieces are not completely done. They're not completely wrapped up. There's still more work to do, as always, because we are still needing to do some major evolving and clearing. But as you are looking at yourself, at your own life, at what you can do, I always throw this reminder out because we can't control the external circumstances. We can't control what's going on. Those things have bigger purpose and meaning. And as I said, it has a bigger reason for helping the collective shift their consciousness. And so I believe everything going on in the external world, we have a choice. And the choice is whether we engage with it or we don't engage with it. It doesn't mean we can't have empathy for it. We can't hold space for it. We can't send love and light to it. We can absolutely do that. But the only thing that we can really control is ourselves. And the only thing that we can really do is work on ourselves. And if we work on ourselves and others work on themselves, that is the best thing that we can even do. That is the number one job that we all have coming here, is having these experiences, learning these lessons, evolving, changing, growing, and being able to move through this with as much grace and love and empathy and compassion and forgiveness as we can. And that's the big lesson I think that I have been really working through, is continuing to stay in gratitude. And I have been saying this to my friends, my close friends, how much gratitude I've had for this whole experience. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I don't want to be feeling bad. Yeah, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to go to doctors, and I don't want to have to go through the medical system and all the stuff, because I'm such a holistic gal. So going into that system is not my favorite thing, because it's exposed a lot of things about just the dysfunction of it to me. But the gratitude that I've had for having this time to fully take care of myself, to fully look at myself, to fully have this period. And it's allowed me to put up boundaries too, which were necessary. They're necessary boundaries. But I was telling a friend of mine, even with my kid, right? Love him so much. He's such a great, wonderful, such a compassionate, loving, sweet. He's been so kind and so sweet. But there's always this thing with space, in my personal space. And if I'm not feeling well, he tends to leave me alone. But other times he doesn't really think about my personal boundaries or my personal space. And so it's been a great time to redefine my boundaries and my personal space with him without me having to say, well, I don't feel good or I have a headache or whatever it is, right? That very clear. I've reconfigured that with him. Hey, if mommy has her door closed, that means that it's mommy time. And I would appreciate it if you didn't come in and interrupt me. So reevaluating what I'm going to tolerate and not tolerate, even when it comes to my own child, it's important. It is important for you to be able to have that time and that space and put those boundaries in place of what really is important to you. And, for many of us as empaths, we have lived with narcissists and we have dealt with being in very challenging situations early in life, which our needs and our boundaries were never there. They were never identified. They were never allowed to come to the surface. They were never respected. And this is a big piece of what we are learning to do right now, is radically loving ourselves, radically putting in place our absolute non-negotiables and refining and having discernment about every aspect of our life so that we can fully embrace ourselves and fully take care of ourselves and fully heal ourselves. Because when we heal ourselves, we're making the world a much better place. So I hope that the rest of this, these energetic shifts that we're going through and these astrological pieces are very kind to you. But remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others. And I am sending you all the love and the light in the world your way. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for tuning into this episode. If you enjoyed it, please rate, review, and share with friends and family. You can connect with me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Stina Life. For natal chart readings, please visit my website at stinamyers.com and look out for classes and other events that will be available in the very near future. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.